Operation Confidence proudly presents America's Invisible Heroes radio talk show. Tune in weekly on Sundays, 2 to 3 p.m. Pacific Time, with your hosts, Consuelo Mackey, U.S. Army veteran and co-host Matt Davison, announcer Taylor Marcella, and Brooke Gadesi, U.S. Army veteran and entertainment segment host Charles Whitehead, Veterans and Legal segment host, attorney Danielle Sherrod, U.S. Army Veterans and Lifeline for Women Veterans segment host Martha Elena Varela, Veterans in Recovery host Anthony Akinpora, and U.S. Air Force veteran and Incarceration to Success segment host Kevin Lewandowski. For more information or to be a guest on our show, email info@operationconfidence.org.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Americans Invisible Heroes, the show dedicated to our veterans and their families. Yes, I'm your host, Consuelo Mackey, and you know what? I'm a longtime hairstylist and fashion designer, plus the executive director of a grassroots nonprofit organization called Operation Confidence. No, I'm not a veteran, but my heart goes out to our American heroes, especially those veterans who are disabled and may have experienced homelessness. For those who are new to the show, American Invisible Heroes was established to provide a platform for veterans to be able to share their experiences, heartfelt stories, resources, and challenges. Now, allow me to introduce my wonderful host, Air Force veteran and Operation Confidence board member Matt Davison, U.S. Reserve and board member Charles Whitehead, Brooke Gadesi, also a board member and our announcer. We have Taylor Marcella, board member and also an announcer. U.S. U.S. Air Force veteran and board member Kevin Lewandowski, and he's also the segment host for Incarceration to Success. U.S. Army veteran Martha Varela, she's a segment host for Lifeline for Women Veterans. And ending with U.S. Army Special Forces Sergeant Richard Cook. He has a monthly segment called I Once Was Whole. Welcome to you all.
Thank you.
You know, today is a special day. We're giving a tribute to a very dear friend of ours. And we want to take it away to Matt, who also has another dear friend of ours on who's going to share a tribute to a dear friend, Gary Yamamoto. Matt, take it away.
Gary Yamamoto. I used to call him the Energizer Bunny because he never stopped moving from homeless veteran stand-downs to vet center programs to job fairs, National Vietnam Veterans of America. Hold on a second, my words just went out. There's photographs being put up here, and it just blocked out what I was saying.
Right here.
Okay, let me go back. Jerry used to move from homeless veteran stand-downs to vet center programs to job fairs to National Vietnam Veterans of America board meetings to PTSD counseling. Wherever there was a need for veterans and their families, there was Jerry. The veteran world lost this extraordinary advocate on Monday at 6:28 a.m. after a long and protracted illness. And I wonder how many veterans whose lives he touched are better off now than they were prior to his touching their lives. Jerry was a Vietnam veteran Army vet, served as a psychology social work specialist. Much of his work was associated with PTSD, and this gave him important insights into working with troubled veterans. In 2009, Jerry was named the California 53rd Assembly District Veteran of the Year. He also received a U.S. Representative Certificate of Congressional Commendation. Former Congressperson Representative Jane Harmon said it best. You have been a rare leader on veteran issues. Your advice and support meant a great deal to me. Jerry's daughter, Jamie, remembers that when they were in the car, Jerry wanted to listen to Beatle music. Favorite song was I Want to Hold Your Hand. Today, this shining spirit of Jerry Yamamoto is holding Jamie's hand and every veteran needing a hand up. You will be missed, my brother, but never forgotten. And now I'd like to bring in a close friend of myself and Jerry, Clarence Hatcherson, who knew him well, and maybe get some memories from you, Clarence, on the times we spent together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Matt. I was honored when you asked if I could come and share some memories of Jerry. And I did give it some thought. And I of two areas. How I knew him professionally, which anyone that's been around him, as you said, Matt, your tribute, knew that he was, if you could give 110% for working with veterans, Jerry was that particular one to do that. But I also, on a personal level, something that I think maybe not a lot of folks knew. In conversations we've had over the years, Jerry would mention that he was born in Arkansas. And, I thought, okay, strange, maybe not strange. So what I realized, and I don't know if many people realize that, Jerry was born in Rohar, the Rohar relocation camp. During the Second World War, his parents were relocated there. So that was his birth. And I can remember times we were driving around in Torrance. In fact, one particular time we were driving down Western Boulevard, just north of Torrance Boulevard, and he pointed toward a building, which is all industrial and commercial area. And he says, my family once owned the land over there, and it's, Jerry was not, and I can't ever recall him being bitter, or in fact, he was very mild-mannered. But with that comment, I felt a bit of sadness in that comment. One thing that Jerry did, he would never, ever deny a request to help veterans. And the only time that he may make an excuse is when he had other events planned that were helping veterans. And he was very instrumental. In fact, he was one of our officers, Matt, with the South Bay VEC. And in the tenure that we were there, he was really instrumental in keeping it going. So the one gentleman I will really, really, really miss.
Thank you, Clarence. Those memories and insights. There's a saying that with combat veterans, all gave some gave all. Jerry was not a combat veteran, but he gave all. There was nothing left that he didn't give. So we remember him. We hope there'll be others like him, and that will keep serving these veterans who are in need and need a helping hand up. Thanks, Clarence, for joining us. Thank you,
Yes.
Connie,
Thank you
for
so much.
allowing us to pay this
Oh.
tribute.
Well, I had to, Matt and Clarence, Jerry was extremely important and a dear friend to me as well. You've seen the picture that was shown on the screen. He was very instrumental in helping us. Remember, Matt, when we hosted the event on the grounds of the sports arena? Jerry was right there. He was right there helping us, and we continued a wonderful friendship. And my heart is just so broken that he's left us. But he's with the man upstairs now. We all know that, and he'll truly be missed. But I'm honored to have had the opportunity for us to give a tribute to him today and to let his daughter know how important he was to all of us, non-vets and veterans. And I thank you for this time.
There
Uh,
he is.
yeah, for sure. Well, we're going to move right along. Brooke, you want to take it from here?
You got it, Connie. U.S. Army veteran Martha Elena Varela with her segment entitled Lifeline for Women Veterans. Her guest today is U.S. Army veteran Gloria Penaloza. I apologize if I've butchered your name, who's with the Army Corps of Engineers. Take it away, Martha.
You're muted, Martha.
Thank you, Brooke. Has Gloria been able to sign on?
No, we don't see her yet. Let me see if she's here yet. Nope, 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 nope.
Okay.
Nope, not yet.
Okay, I will go ahead and read her bio while we wait. Hopefully she's not having internet issues. But the guest that I had wanted to interview today was Miss Gloria Penaloza. And
Where'd you go? We don't see you anymore.
oh, okay, I was reading her bio. Okay. So if what does it show, a blank screen?
Yeah, there you go. Okay. You're back.
So Gloria is a PhD candidate. She is from St. Paul, Minnesota, where many of you know, the same place that I grew up. And it's been really interesting because over the years, Gloria and I have continued to cross paths, realizing that we were both in the Minnesota Army National Guard. We both were small business owners. We both were Habitat for Humanity homeowners. And we both went to graduate school at the same time. And I think that we even have a child that's close in age. So strangely, we've become friends over the years. And I wanted to highlight her for just her strength and resilience, being a woman and a woman in the Army and actually having made a career out of the Army. And I think for many of us, that was always the goal. But for many of us, like myself, who've experienced some of the trauma, unfortunately, that we've experienced, along with some physical injuries that I had while serving on active duty, not many of us make it there. And part of the reason why I wanted to recognize her for that, because she was really able to just make the military a career. And now working for the Army Corps of Engineers has also been able to provide her a platform for continuing her education, finishing a graduate degree recently, and now a PhD at Hamline University in leadership. And so over the years, I've just really admired, as I mentioned, her strength, her resilience, but also her ability to just overcome obstacles and challenges, as she mentioned to me. She also experienced some of that trauma that unfortunately some of us experienced during our time of service. And so I want to kind of just ask her, you know, kind of more in detail how she was able to do so and recognize her for that, because she still continues to work with the community. She has made it a passion to work with youth, and her end goal is to help youth in the community and their families become homeowners. So as I mentioned, she was selected to become a Habitat for Humanity homeowner. For those of you who know, the Habitat for Humanity also provides a veteran component for veterans who are interested in becoming homeowners. So if any of you know some families here locally or in other parts of the country, they have a specific part of their program, which we didn't know of back then. Both of us were homeowners about 20 years ago. But I have had the opportunity to talk to the outreach director here locally in Los Angeles. And it's a very wonderful program to help veterans become homeowners, but not many veterans are aware of this wonderful resource. So how it works is once you apply and you're selected, in exchange for your down payment assistance, you provide sweat equity. So you and anyone else in your family that's over the age of 18 actually work on your home. So everything from sheetrocking to any of the remodeling, putting in the carpet, you literally learn some valuable skills that you may not need when you become the actual homeowner in terms of like sheetrock, But in terms of this love and care that you develop for your own home is worth more than the exchange for the down payment assistance. And so I really wanted to use this opportunity also to let all of our listeners know, to let all of those on the show know that if you know of any veterans in the LA area, I think also Orange County has the same or similar Habitat for Humanity program. It really is a wonderful opportunity for yet maybe not the homeless veterans, but those that are sort of kind of caught in the middle, right? We're in a place that's too small, or our families have become larger. We just can't afford to upgrade to our own home, right? Many of us, unfortunately, are renters and don't realize that home ownership is an opportunity. So just wanting to let you guys know about that wonderful program that is available right here in Los Angeles through Habitat for Humanity, and it's a veteran track program. Also, if you're a veteran who is already a homeowner and just need a little bit of help fixing it up, it could be outside, the inside. They also have an extension of a program which is called A Brush for Kindness. And so they will come, rally the troops, bring them over to the house, and help you fix up your existing house if you're already a homeowner. So just a wonderful program that both Gloria and I are participants of, and wanted to share her wonderful story and this wonderful resource with you all. So I'm sad to see she maybe wasn't able to get on. And I don't know, she was texting me this morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I hope everything's okay. We might have to bring her on again in the future to have her share her wonderful story. But hats off to you, Gloria, if you are listening, wanting to share your story and let others know how important you are in the world of women veterans and in veterans all across the state. And so that was my guest for today.
Martha, I want to share something with you that several years back, Operation Confidence, and especially me, was on the board of Habitat for Humanity's Los Angeles.
Oh,
so
cool.
I know the whole ins and outs of Habitat, which is a marvelous program. And I literally learned how to put on a roof. I can put on a roof as good as a roofer, okay? And so you learn some amazing skills. I mean, I literally had my little cute workout and tool belt, the whole spiel, but they hoisted me up on the roof, and I can put on a roof just as good as the roofer now, thanks to Habitat for Humanity. So you do learn some amazing skills, but it was an honor to be on their board. So our hats off to Habitat. They are an amazing organization. And thanks for bringing that to us. And I'm happy that you had a home. So, you know, they're outstanding. They've been doing it for many, many years.
And I'll get you the information so that we can put it on our website.
Please do.
Yeah, really wanting to spread the word about the specific veteran program.
Yeah, they have that. That's been for several years now, but it's a great program that they have for vets. We keep in touch. So thank you so much for that, Martha. That was invaluable information.
Yeah.
Taylor?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you
I was just gonna ask Martha. I say, can you try to get in touch with her? Maybe we can get on here for a couple of minutes, or if she's got the time.
Yeah, I texted her, and I didn't. I'll try again and see if everything's okay. I just texted her a few minutes before the show started to make sure she didn't have problems getting on, and I did email her the script this morning. So I'm kind of surprised that she wasn't able to make it. Like I said, hopefully everything's okay. But I'll reach out to her.
All right.
See.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So Taylor.
Now it's time for U.S. Air Force veteran Kevin Lewandowski to give his segment entitled Incarceration to Success. Take it away, Kevin.
Hi, everybody. Today, my guest is Richard Slezak. He is a veteran that I met when I was working for Volunteers of America in the Incarcerated Veterans Transition Program. And he had several battles with incarceration over decades, and finally, on his last bout, he went and took up some courses in industrial and hospital sanitation, and before COVID. But it worked out, in the end, it really worked out because the pandemic started. And through the pandemic, he was able to blossom to a good career. I got him a job with the company called Avatara, and they contract with the VAs at the West Los Angeles VA, Long Beach VA, and the Sepulveda VA. And they also have other contracts throughout the country. So I was able to pay, to start contracting with them, and they hire all of my incarcerated veterans and give them a chance at second chance, like a second chance company. So I was able to get him on board there, and since he's been on board there, he's got 2 promotions, and he's doing very well. So I would like to introduce to you Richard Slezak.
Before you introduce Richard, Kevin, can you give a little bit of history about you and your background and how you've now become a role model in the veterans community?
Okay, yes, I am a former homeless veteran. I became homeless right after I got released from the Air Force, and I stayed homeless for 25 years. After I was a stone cold alcoholic and drug addict, which my alcoholism really boosted when I was in the military, and they offered me absolutely no help. So their quick solution to problems like that is let's discharge them. So I got discharged. I got discharged to the streets, and that's where I stayed, for 25 years. It's a very hard life, living on the streets. You it became got to the point you get in fights and you get in battles with people, and you don't really have friends. You have acquaintances that just want to you use each other, for whatever resources you may have. And it got to the point where my addiction was so bad that my every waking moment, my every thought was, or I have to get more, I have to get more. And that's all I thought. The time I woke up was get more, get more, get more, get more alcohol, get more alcohol. And that's what I did. I got more until I blacked out, passed out. And wherever I passed out, that was my home for the night.
Oh my.
That went on for 25 years. And
Oh God.
I wound up in prison. I wound up in there for charges that were just to support my habit. I got arrested for forgery, fraud, which is I was doing this check cashing that goes on around impoverished areas. Though people come up, would you like to make $500? You say, sure, I would. So they take you to like a Walmart and they get you hygiene products, get you fresh clothes, take you to a motel room and get you changed and cleaned up and pick you up the next morning and hand you this payroll check with your name on it. Mine was for $1,000. So I got the $1,000 check. I went into the check cashing, came out with $1,000. They took 500, 500. So that went on, for a while, and then I got really involved in the business of the forgery business. I was actually robbing checks, and I was reprinting the checks and finding the people to cash the checks, and just
my
the whole
goodness.
damn. So
You was a
eventually-
gangster.
yeah. so then, so then, I of course I got caught, and in the midst of all that, I also I when I needed a drink, I needed a drink. It got to the point where if I didn't have the alcohol level boosted up in enough time, I would go and flop like a fish right on the floor and in the street wherever I was in a seizure. So I would have to go around and panhandle for money, and if I couldn't get the money in time, I went into the store and I took it like it's the thing to do. I walked right out. So I went and I went to walk out of this one liquor store, and the 2 clerks, they tried to block me in. So I was not about to have them block me in because I needed that drink. It was 2 cotton beers, 2 cans of beer. I put them in my army jacket, and I went to get out the front exit, and they tried to block me. So I barreled past them. Since I physically touched them, they arrested me for strong arm robbery. So it sounds like I robbed a bank, so that's where I got these charges of robbery, forgery, fraud, burglary, and it's all was just basically to get my liquor.
Wow.
But now these things, they haunt me, as far as it goes with employment. They always will. If they do like a live scan, they say in California after 7 years it disappears. It does disappear in a regular background check, but not on a live scan. On a live scan, your whole rap sheet is going to come out, and
Right.
then you have to the company that you apply for, you have to explain to them, what this was and why this happened and what this means, and write them a letter, and hopefully you have a COO that is compassionate and understanding, and they see the merit that you have achieved, and they'll give you, the position. So that's actually what I'm going through now, with another organization. They offer a position.
Wait a minute,
And
you skipped right by something. So after you had become incarcerated and then you found God, and then from
right.
there you went and found yourself on an even keel, and then you met Miss Bella, and then she gave you. How did you forget all that important
Oh,
part?
no. So then, eventually I got out of prison and I went into a rehab because I knew how to stay sober. I could stay sober in prison, which I was 3 years sober when I got out, but I didn't know how to stay sober on the streets. So I went into a rehab and I learned how to, I built a foundation, of people to support me. And I wound up, nobody really wanted somebody on parole for with these charges, of course, to live in their dwellings. So a place on Skid Row, the SRO Corporation, said we have a place for you in one of our transitional housing at the Russ Hotel. So I went to the Russ Hotel, and it was this little room and dingy room and hot as could be in there, and just the smell of piss and shit coming through the windows, and drugs coming through the windows, and it was
You
just
can't cuss on air.
oh, I'm sorry. It was just horrible. So I, what am I doing here? So eventually, I did get placed in permanent housing down there, and I got into my room there, my apartment, and I didn't like it. I was in there by myself, with my feelings, with just everything. That being alone, I hadn't been alone in years. I was always around somebody. So my psychiatrist said, "Well, get a dog," and I said, "I don't want a dog." I said, "I'm not going to walk a dog. I'm not going to feed a dog. I want nothing to do with a dog." He said, "Well, let's just do the paperwork anyway. You may change your mind. So you can do anything you want." I said, "I don't want a dog." So the guy contacted me from AA, and he says, "Kevin, you don't know me." He said, "But I fell away from my Catholic faith." He said, "And I see that I see you're very faithful, to your religion." He said, "Can I come to church with you?" I said, "Sure, come to church." So we come to church, and several weeks went by, and he said, "Well, let's stop at my house because I want to get some money and we'll go to breakfast." I said, "Okay." So I walked in, and here comes Miss Bella down the hallway, just prancing down. And I said, "Oh my God." I just felt in my heart, I won her. I won her. I never told him. I never prayed for her, anything. 2 weeks later, he calls me and he says, "Kevin, my job is transferring me." He said, "Can you take Bella?" I said, "Yes, I can take Bella." And see, the paperwork was done because the psychiatrist already did the paperwork. And that's why I say, God knows your heart, because I didn't pray to God. I never told this guy I wanted the dog. But 2 weeks later, I got the dog. So God saw my need for her and her need for me, because
Right.
he was a registered nurse and never home, worked 14-hour days. So she was home alone. So then, she got me, and now she's 24/7 in my presence. So now she's never alone.
That's
She'll
your
go into
service dog.
yes, now she's a psychiatric service dog now.
Right.
Yeah, so she can go anywhere with me. So, and she's my baby. She just means the world to me. She's really changed my life from that dark hole that I lived in,
Mm-hmm.
this bright future that I have now.
That's
And
so wonderful.
yeah,
And real quick, because we don't want to keep Richard hanging in here too long, but you became, after that, you found yourself where you could reach out and help other homeless veterans. You literally went on the streets and recruited them and shared
yes,
your story and got employed with Volunteers of America, and then moved on to where you are now, to a better position. Got a brand new car, the whole spiel, lovely apartment. You go,
everything,
guys. Got all that good stuff.
from all
You
them
don't
your
do
28 years on the street, and the worst drug addict, alcoholic you would ever want to believe I was. People don't believe it. but the good Lord, his will, his will. He had
That's
plans
wonderful.
he had for you, and like she said, I work with homeless veterans. I was working with the incarcerated veterans, but like I said, I got a position with another organization now, and
Mhm.
I'll be doing basically the same thing, making a lot more money. And now I will work with not only incarcerated, but I work with all veterans now.
That's
And I'm
wonderful.
an employment specialist.
Mhm.
So once I get started, I will reveal to you where I'm working.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And
Maybe
then
next week. Maybe next week.
okay, that'll be wonderful. Well, introduce your guest now.
Yeah. So now, as I said, I explained, the wonderful work that he's done. And he was one of my clients when I was with the Incarcerated Veterans Transition Program. And he's blossomed. He's got 2 promotions since he worked for Aratara. And he's doing wonderful things. So I will let him come on and tell a little bit about what's going on with him today.
And what was his situation before he became successful? You want to share that with us, Richard?
Yes, hi, Kevin. Hi, everyone. Yeah, it was real encouraging for me when I did meet Kevin because of his background. I was able to relate with, and then it just helped my hope stay alive. Because one thing I've come to learn through adversity is you always have to stay hopeful. I had been, sent to all the very worst penitentiaries, prisons in our country the past couple of decades, in the federal system and the state system. And my last incarceration for the past 7 years, I had met a cellie that was a captain's clerk and heavily involved with the rehabilitation programs. So he started getting me involved with rehabilitation program works. So I worked with an organization called Prison Industry Authority, PIA, where I first worked in their chemical plant as a chemical mixer. We made disinfectant, we made wax, we made stripper, various different chemicals that we would make. And so after that, I was promoted to a lead man and then to a manager. And then I was promoted to continue my certifications, where I went with another part of Prison Industry Authority called HFM, Health Facilities Maintenance, where I worked in the prison hospital environment, where I was cleaning, disinfecting, and sanitizing hospital environments, doctor rooms, lab rooms, things of that nature, dental areas. So then, upon my release last year in April, 2020 in April, I was basically a homeless veteran, and my sister and family picked me up and helped me in the beginning stages, placed me in a hotel for 7 days, where I got together with the West Los Angeles Veterans Administration, their Welcome Center, Building 257, and introduced myself to them as a homeless veteran, and they began helping me, where I was introduced to Volunteers of America and housed there in their transitional housing program they have. And then from there, I met Kevin, who at the time was helping me to get my life situated, as I was penniless with nothing. So then he introduced me to a company called Avatara, where I can put my certificates that I earned from prison to use, where I was knowledgeable of that type of work, working in hospital environments to clean, disinfect, and sanitize. So when I got together with a company called Avatara, I had met the owner last year named Patty. Her husband had actually founded the company, and he's a United States Marine Corps Vietnam veteran, Larry Jackson, who started this company with the sole purpose of helping other veterans who are struggling. And sadly, he passed away of Agent Orange about 6 years ago on July 1st, 2015. Then his wife took over, Patty, with the same determination of continuing his legacy of helping other veterans. So I'm so thankful coming to this company for work, because they surely live up to their legacy. They
Can
do
you,
help
Richard,
veterans.
pronounce the name of that company again and spell it?
Avatara, Avatara.
Okay, Avatara.
They're going to
Right.
be on the show. They're going to be on the show shortly.
Oh, how wonderful.
In a few months,
Yeah.
they're going to come on.
Yeah, Kevin, send me that information too. We want to put that on our website.
Okay.
And so, yes, I'm so thankful to them because they really are very willing to help other veterans that are struggling, that are experiencing adversity, that need a second chance. And so with my energy that I just put into work, just continuing to work, they continue to see my energy and continue to, bless me in their company to where, I'm so thankful to that opportunity of being able to work and being able to stay hopeful in the face of adversity. And then, to encourage all other veterans that are homeless, as I am, penniless. I now, a year later, I was taken off parole early because of my good behavior and positive programming. A year later, I'm here with a brand new car of my own self. I'm here with two smartphones, a 12 Pro and another one, a Verizon. I'm here with things that are moving me forward in my life, and I have that sole purpose in my own mind to continue moving forward, not backwards. And it's possible for anybody. I'm coming straight from nothing and able to move forward, but it's because I kept my eyes open to various different veteran programs that are there to help veterans. And I kid you not, there's been a lot. I took a computer class online with Telecu, another veteran organization that they call them, they have a logo called Veterans Upward Bound. And I like that because I am upward bound. I am veteran upward bound. And so they focus on education, educating yourself, helping me to learn computer technology. The whole world's gone computerized now. So I take online computer classes now to learn this technology, which I quickly have to learn. On top of that, there's a homeless veteran housing organization called PATH that I work with that are helping me get my own apartment in the future. So then if all that weren't enough, I'm being diagnosed by all the various different doctors now that I got cancer, and they're sharing with me that I have to go through radiation treatment and got to go through all kinds of other things, minor surgery that they assure me I can continue working with. But, all those kind of adversity things can knock you down at times, but to remain hopeful despite the adversity is what always keeps me standing up and moving forward. And even people out there that do have cancer at the moment and are going through their issues, it can be nerve-wracking at times, but to remain hopeful, to remain moving yourself forward is very important to your recovery. And
you've always been very proactive. You've always been a very proactive client of mine. You went out and did what you had to do and beyond to get ahead. You weren't one to sit around and do nothing. You wanted it, you went out and got it, and for that I commend you.
He seems like he's one of our American invisible heroes too. I mean, what you're saying and what you're going through and what you're doing is commendable, Richard. We really thank you and bless you. You're in our prayers, and God got you. This is a very spiritual show, and a lot of prayer people are involved in here.
And stuff that you do is people watch you. It's like over time they say, oh, I remember this guy when he was at this point in his life. Now he's here, and you become that role model. And that stuff is very important. So keep it up, Rich. Good job, man.
That's right. And keep spreading the word what you're doing too. And we want you back on the show on a regular. So you make sure you stay in touch with Kev, because you'll be one of the regulars on Kevin's show. And we want to follow your progress, because you're going to be just fine as far as what you're going through. We feel it in our spirit. And we want you to continue mentoring other veterans. They all need to know about what you and Kevin have gone through. you know, and your successes. Look, you say you got a brand new car too. You go, dude.
He's following in my footsteps.
You and Kevin are ballers, you know. You go, dude. I love it. I love it.
Ballers, shot callers.
Huh? What'd you say, Charles?
Big ballers, shot
Yeah,
callers.
ballers. They ballers. I love it. All right. Well, it's on you now, Charles, to introduce our next guest.
All right. Our next guest is Richard Cooks. Richard has a monthly segment entitled I Once Was Hold. He's a 33-year-old Army Special Forces sergeant and retired worker as chief of payroll for the Veterans Administration, a GS-11 position. Sergeant Cook had a massive stroke in 2016 that left him with brain damage, aphasia, and physical damage, weakness to his left side, as well as visually impaired. Richard decided while in recovery that he was going to work on becoming normally physical, mentally, and visually and verbally so he began his journey. Today, his neurologists, doctors say he is now completely recovered. He's an accomplished photographer who works with talent and fashion models as he did before his stroke. Congratulations, Richards, for your best-selling book entitled I Once Was Whole, now on Amazon. Take it away, Rich.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, yeah, I've been through a lot of adversity, but I didn't let that stop me. Okay, so the thing is, let me kind of back up a little bit and explain. In the Army time, I ended up having a broken neck, broken back, and also I had cancer. But as of June 14th, 2014, 2014, all that's now passed. But that's what I've had before. And then in 2016, the strokes happened. I say 2016 because it was all in 1 year. I had the major stroke first, which I didn't understand what was going on. Then I had a massive stroke, which put me in the hospital. But then while I was in the hospital, I was having another stroke, which affected the brain, which in turn affected my left eye and made me blind in my left eye and blurred in my right eye. But that was all adversity, but I didn't take it in a negative way. What I did is I took it in a way to be positive. So every time I was doing something that I had to do, for example, I was invited to go surfing for one of their programs through the VA. So surfing was sponsored by a program that called the Jimmy Miller Foundation. And the thing is, so I was there. They always ask me, "How you doing today?" And I would tell them, "Well, I'm achieving," which wasn't negative. It was just pointing out it was a positive sense of me achieving. Why? Because I couldn't do that before, and I can do that now. So recently, I also had because of my blindness, I call blindness. They call it visually impaired, but if I can't see out of one eye and blurred in the right eye, I still kind of call it blindness. But I go to the blind rehab center down there in Long Beach, VA, and work with them. Got their type of techniques to be able to handle things uh, effectively, mainly using a cane so I can still get around without tripping or falling. Okay, because it keeps me from doing that in that respect. So that way I know where there's a slope and where there's a curve. That way I don't trip and fall. So I'm doing that. But it's just how to find things to achieve compared to what other people might get very, I'll call it depressed. The thing is, I didn't let that stop me, or where I didn't end up getting depressed.
Hey, Richard, a
yeah.
question for you. When you say where there's a slope and where there's a curve, can you give us just a little quick insight on what you would do to tell the difference?
Well, what I have is a cane for people who are visually impaired,
Mm-hmm.
and I use that to sway around and feel how
Okay.
the level of slope would be on that. If it's going downwards, then I know that's a a
Slope.
slope itself for the driveway. And if it's not, and I end up feeling where it's more like a curve because it you feel it, then you don't feel beyond that, then you know it's a curved side, so that way I don't just walk and trip in that
Yeah,
respect.
I think that's important because we as people in society kind of take things for granted, and it's little things, especially like uh, myself and Taylor. We use wheelchairs, and there are little certain things that people kind of take for granted and they don't think about. And so for you using that cane and swiping, and that's important, because we just assume that, oh yeah, like the person's walking and they know where they're going. True, but you still have to navigate the land that's in front of you. So, um,
Right.
thank you.
And you know what, as you said, people are walking and don't realize, but I'm one of the ones who just walking in those curb cuts. You know how the tree is grown out the roots and now the curb is split and there's that. I broke my knee on
Hmm.
that, so you can really trip without knowing that, these irregular sidewalks are there and curb cuts and pavements uplifting because of the roots are extremely dangerous. So you have to
That,
be extremely careful.
that happened to me once. I was pushing my chair fast, and there was a
Hmm.
big crack in the sidewalk, and I ended up launching and flying. I was Superman, and I brought it to the attention of the city too, because I said this is ridiculous. You know,
And what did they do?
Right.
Nothing?
they were supposed to fix it. I just
Okay. Yeah.
I brought my at the time I was married and my wife was working for the city, so I had a little insight, and I said, this is, I didn't
Dangerous.
do it is, so
Extremely dangerous. We commend you, Richard. Tell us
Thank
about
you.
your book.
Well, the book is more of a biography about myself during my army time, and then where I ended up into working with talent and models, and then as well as the stroke has happened, where it's all kind of emphasized in that book, where that's where it's called "I Once Was Whole," where I was doing things before the stroke and beyond, and then now uh, having the stroke and how I was able to completely recover.
That's
So
so wonderful.
that's a short part of it. So I'll put it this way: it's worth reading. People have told me it's very inspirational.
That's so cool. And you know what you forgot to share with us after the stroke, how you took part in a lot of those athletic marathons and archery and swimming, all kinds of things you were doing after you had the stroke. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. Well, uh, from the VA Recreational Center, or in that aspects for the therapy, uh, there at West Los Angeles, they started me with archery. So once a week before the pandemic, I would still go out there with archery, but I end up hitting bullseyes, and
Ooh.
because they had to reposition my holding ways of doing things, so I had to hold it in my left hand, even though
Mhm.
my left hand is the weakest part from the stroke, because
Right.
at the point by weak being weak, uh, I really couldn't maneuver very good. So that they said, okay, we're going to switch you from right-handedness to left hand to get used to your left hand. So that's why I'd hold the bow out. And at that point, I was being guided by the guide itself too. And so I let the arrow go, and I kept hitting bullseyes. So that's what I had to do in that aspect. But then also with that's the archery side, but then in the area that they had me go for surfing, I ended up doing that and surfing itself too in that aspects. And the therapists through the Jimmy Miller Foundation know that I can't swim. So, but they still said, and also you're weak from your stroke. At least, uh, like like doing upward down push-ups, I was able to hold the surfboard, and they said that's still surfing, even though you're just out there with all fours in that respect. So I still did that, and eventually I was able to do it where I would end up coming onto the shoreline in a kneel stand in that respect.
That's amazing. Real quick, tell us if this stroke was brought on by your time in the military, or did it
Well,
happen afterwards, or do you contribute
I
anything to it?
it could have been built up. I'm saying could because I'm still working on that, but it could have been built up because the MREs at that time in the year 2000, we were being fed MREs and they had a lot of cholesterol, even though it was to make us be more energized to do what we needed to do and what we had to do. But they had a lot of cholesterol because the doctors at that point would tell me from the Army, how come your cholesterol's so high? Well, one, they never gave me any statins. So eventually it kept going and going and going. And then in 2016, that's when the strokes happened. So the thing is, it was due to having high cholesterol, whether it was because of the MRAs, that still be determined, or it could have been in some other factor in that aspect. But at least now, currently, the doctors keep checking on how I'm doing with my cholesterol. And if it looks like my cholesterol's kind of moving up the ranks again, put it that way, ranks, it's going up to where it could be dangerous again. They let me know that my cholesterol's high again. So that way they can find some other avenues to make it work where I don't have another stroke.
Well, you're just amazing. We really commend you. You're another one of those American heroes that we want to feature on a regular basis on the show. And thank goodness you're back every month. Last but not least, I've seen a picture of you doing rock climbing. Now, how were you able to do the rock climbing with you being weak on one side?
This one was actually at the Long Beach VA, where they had an event program for the climbing of the rock wall that they had out there. It had actually literally brought out there for programs for people with various levels of disability. So the thing is, I saw that. They said, why don't you go ahead and try it? And the thing is, because of my weakness on my left side, including my arms, my hands, and my legs, I found myself very strong enough to still do that. So I climbed all the way up and I end up hitting the bell at that point. And they said, well, you can come down, just go ahead and relax, come down. I said, no, I want to climb back down. They said, no, we're not going to have you do that. But that's what that rock wall was.
That's wonderful. Matt, did you have any questions you wanted to ask Richard?
Now, I just wonder how much, Richard, did faith have to do with your recovery and your strength to continue on?
Pretty much a lot of faith, I'll put it that way, because the reason why is I tell people when those who are very much in faith understand, and those who don't, they pretty much don't really reply. But the thing is, in the hospital, from what was happening, causing my strokes, to put it that way, was because of a tumor in my heart. And the tumor was in the heart valve, restricting the blood flow. That's why the strokes were happening. And so I would have never had the strokes if I never had the tumor. So they had to surgically remove the tumor. But while I was having surgery, the doctor said that I had died on the operating table. And so what happened was 5 minutes went by and they pretty much said they're calling it. And at that point in time, I ended up having some situation where I was like zooming back into an area I can't really describe, but there was a bench. And so I sat down because I was feeling tired after all, and sat down. And then that's when I realized the gentleman who was sitting next to me was Jesus.
That's right.
Said, this is too soon for you.
That's right.
I said, what do you mean? He said, no. God has said to send you back. And that's where I ended up coming back. The doctor said the same thing, and they were very surprised about that. So that's
I just love you. I love you for that. That is so us. Isn't that us, Kevin? Isn't that us, Charles and Matt? and Brooke and Taylor and Martha. We all of that, and I know that was him who said it ain't time yet, and we really thank you.
Did you write about that in your book?
I had to keep it somewhat non-denominational because of the.
You should write a book about that. You should write a book about that.
Yeah, make because that's deep.
Well, that's the next book.
Part two is the next book. Part two is the next book.
That's extremely touching what you just shared.
Would you like to know what the title is of the next book? I'll tell you. It's called I Once Was.
Listen to Brooke say, yeah.
This one is I Once Was Whole, but the next book's called It's Not a Race, It's a Journey.
Oh, that's perfect. That's a perfect title as well. Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that. That's so hard.
I love hearing things like that. I love hearing that. You met Jesus.
Yeah. I done met him every day, all day for years and years. Still meeting him every day. I love it. I'm on.
I sat down with him, but he's right there with me. But I've never got to sit down on the bench with him yet.
No, I don't know. I've been there with him though, but I may not have been the bench. But we've had some strong conversations. Is why I continue on this journey. But that's very touching. Thank you so much, Richard. It's on you now, Taylor. You have a heartfelt bit of information to share.
I do. Did you know there are more than 2 million children in U.S. classrooms whose parents are active duty military service members, National Guard or reservists, or military veterans? Contending with frequent moves, new schools, and the echoes of deployment and separation, these military-connected kids carry a unique weight, often invisible, often unacknowledged. Welcoming schools. Keller, the Military Child Education Coalition, says that what makes the first few weeks in a new school setting so critical for military kids, what we know about moving and changing schools. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
You can hear me? Okay. I was like, can you guys hear me? What we know about moving and changing schools is that there's an urgency there, she says. Consistently, our research shows that you've got about 2 weeks when a kid is new to a school to help him fit in. We call it the fragile first 2 weeks. Ron Abbey Ashter, whose Building Capacity project at the University of Southern California did foundational work on the needs of military-connected kids, focuses even more narrowly. What is that first day like and that first week? He asks. Astor, whose expertise is in school violence, bullying, and healthy school climate, helped to catalog and disseminate the best practices of what he calls welcoming schools, schools where everyone feels they belong and where special efforts is placed on orienting newcomers. Invisibility and lack of awareness, Astor knew, is what fuels bullying, social isolation, and inhospitable school cultures. His welcoming project, which resulted in a series of strategies schools can use to ease transitions, is an antidote to that invisibility, and it provides tools schools can use to help orient other highly mobile student populations like homeless children, foster children, or immigrants. When Jill Biden convened a gathering of researchers and university faculty to mark the 5-year anniversary of Operation Educate the Educators last spring, they also celebrated significant policy gains, like the enactment of the Interstate Compact on Educational Opportunity for Military Children, which smooths transitions by eliminating conflicting state educational requirements, and the Military Student Identifier provision in the Every Student Succeeds Act, which requires states for the first time to track outcomes of these students. That recognition is critical in an era where the country's continued military action is taking place off the front pages and increasing and increasingly out of view. It's important to do all we can to support these families, says Principal Cooper. At our Veterans Day programs, we say thank you. And I'd always thank our kids because they're giving up something as well for their parents to take care of us.
Well, we thank you so much for that information. That's important. You know, kids are, we never get a chance to talk about them, and they're being impacted. Some of them are not, don't have any problems with military families, and some of them do. So I felt it was important for us to share that bit of information. Okay, Brooke.
The retired military working dogs and police canine heroes accepted into Project Canine Hero will have up to $3,000 per year in medical costs covered for them. Project Canine Hero will also cover the canine's food costs and have food shipped directly to the owner's residence. Project Canine Hero additionally provides $500 to the owner when the canine is deceased for cremation or burial service. Any remaining funds out of the $3,000 annual medical allotment will go into the General Emergency Medical Fund, available to all canines in the program for surgeries or other medical expenses that may exceed the annual benefit. This is all, of course, dependent on funding raised through donations. Project Canine Hero aims to educate the public via professional speaking, conferences, mail, and email on the costs and responsibilities that are necessary when adopting or caring for a retired military working dog or police canine hero. While a canine's medical costs are fully covered by their local, state, or federal law enforcement agency when they are working, they are no longer covered for any costs once they retire. In almost all instances, the responsibility for caring for the retired hero falls solely on the volunteer who adopts the canine. Canine heroes are worked until they can no longer perform their duties due to health reasons. In their older age of retirement, they need our help most in making sure they are able to live a comfortable life and are able to enjoy their retirement for as long as possible. Canines accepted into the Project Canine Hero will be selected by the existing board members. Owners of retired canines will need to submit an application, bio of the canine's career, and several photos of the canine working and at home. The board will look into each application thoroughly and allow a retired canine in the program if the funds are available to support it. Through donations, the organization looks forward to taking in as many retired canine heroes as they can support, ensuring a comfortable and enjoyable retirement in return for their dedication to supporting us and our communities. If you'd like to learn how you can get your retired canine hero into the program, please email a brief description and background on your canine to receive an application from the board of directors. Contact them at info@projectcaninehero.org. That email address is info@projectcaninehero.org, and that's the number 9, not spelled out, info@projectcaninehero.org.
So we got dogs that's being left like the veterans too, you know.
Homeless, huh?
Yeah,
And that's sad, but that's so important information. Kev, if you get a chance, do a little bit more research on that for me, since you two, Brooke, I like to see you two work on that. You know, I know that they got some dogs out here that would benefit from that service, you know, but okay, so we're moving right along here. We got hot news.
Hot news.
Anybody say it like Charles? Say it again, Charles.
Hot news. It's like the sun with hot sauce on it. It's hot and flavorful. Today's hot news is about the VA medical facilities. The VA medical facilities incorporate creative arts into their therapy programs to further the rehabilitation goals for both inpatient and outpatients. The annual Creative Arts Competition recognizes the progress and recovery made through the therapy and raises the visibility of the creative achievements of our nation's veterans. The competition includes categories in the visual arts division that range from oil painting to leatherwork to paint by number kits. In addition, there are categories in writing as well as the performing arts of dance, drama, and music. Local creative arts competition first place winner entries advance to a national judging process, and first, second, and third place entries in each category are determined. Gold medal winning veterans are invited to attend the National Veterans Creative Arts Festival hosted by a different VA facility each year. The festival is co-presented by the Department of Veterans Affairs and the American Legion Auxiliary. Taylor, take it over.
Now it's time to hand it back over to Matt to acknowledge a special American Invisible Hero. Take it away, Matt.
Ready? The Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency, that's DPAA, announced today that U.S. Air Force First Lieutenant Alva Krogman, 25, was killed during the Vietnam War, but was accounted for on July 7th, 2020. On January 17th, 1967, Krogman was a pilot assigned to the 504th Tactical Air Support Group, 7th Air Force, on temporary duty with the 23rd Tactical Air Support Squadron, operating out of Nakhon Royal Phanom Thai Air Force Base in Thailand. That morning, he was flying an O-1F Bird Dog aircraft as part of a flight of two planes conducting a visual reconnaissance mission in Laos. At approximately 8:55 a.m. local time, Krogman's aircraft was hit by enemy fire in the left wing and went down. Search and rescue operations began immediately, but they were shut down in a few hours after one of the search and rescue aircraft was also shot down. Krogman was never recovered and was declared killed in action on January 31st. Between December 2018 and February 2019, Millsearch, a DPAA contracted explosive ordnance disposal company, cleared a site believed to be where Krogman's aircraft crashed. It reported the recovery of Krogman's ID tag and human remains, as well as other material evidence, which was turned over to DPAA in October. And in November 2019, during a DPAA joint field activity, archaeological survey and evacuation of the same area, another of Krogman's ID tags was recovered, along with more human remains, possible aircraft life support equipment, and other possible material evidences. To identify Krogman's remains, scientists from DPAA used dental and anthropological analysis as well as material evidence. DPAA is grateful to the government of Laos for their partnership in solving this mission.
Great. That sounds amazing. Okay, and as always, you always got some good stuff for us to learn about. Thank you so much, Matt. Before we move on, Taylor was going to start winding down. I'm sorry, Brooke was going to start winding down the show, but I wanted Martha to give just a little bit more feedback on her new position and how she's going to assist us in moving forward.
Absolutely. And it was very heartfelt to hear the stories today, in particular, Kevin and his guest. And when Consuela and I met, you know, it was sort of the key factors that I feel I've experienced also in this line of work, and also being homeless for a short time here when I arrived to LA. The key is the peer-to-peer, the vet-to-vet support. And as Kevin mentioned, the support system that had to be in place to help get you to the other side. And that's, you know, Connie, what we had talked about, the difference sometimes that we see when the veteran returns back to homelessness or doesn't make it to that substance abuse program, or, you know, kind of to help with the challenge, that support system has to be there. And so that's where kind of the basis of a lot of this conversation started. And while we're, waiting and planning for this wonderful new housing program to kind of kick off, and there's still so many veterans that are homeless today, that are homeless right here in LA. And even last week when we talked about the emergency vouchers that are available, someone had mentioned that they knew a homeless veteran. And so when we don't have to look very far, even within our own circle, to see that there are veterans that we know personally that need this help. And so Connie and I talked a little bit about how we can get those referrals going, right? So we heard Kevin and his guests talk about referring over to Volunteers of America, Salvation Army, PATH, some of these federally funded programs that hold on to these vouchers, these Section 8 vouchers for veterans, also known as the HUD-VASH vouchers. And there are so many veterans that just don't know that they are eligible. In LA, the cap is $65,000. So you can still work, you can still have a brand new car, you can still have a nice cell phone and be eligible. And so that 30% discounted rate, if you will, in rent is what you'd be responsible for paying up until you cross that threshold. And it's just so important for us to really rally around the theme of homelessness. And now, as Connie mentioned, we've got more troops, more soldiers coming home, and how many of them are going to have housing situated. And so it's this big disconnect that I've seen kind of starting in this work. And then also that compassion, that care and concern for one vet towards another that I have seen and experienced firsthand myself is all the difference. And so we are all committed. We are all caring and compassionate to veteran issues and veteran concerns. And we are an organization that focuses on, housing and homelessness, and really helping, for the focal point. If you're homeless, it's going to be impossible for you to get a job. It's going to be almost impossible for you to be successful at any other stage in your life until that basic need item of housing is stabilized. And so, and I know that, it's something that I think that we can do, throw our name in the game. And we want to help be a part of the solution to help veterans, connect them to these resources, connect them to these caring individuals, and actually help them, on that journey, as we've heard from our other guests, that, it is a journey, and along the journey needs to be those supportive individuals, those caring individuals to help you along the journey. And so I think that many of us here in this room are already helping in our own ways, whether it's this show that we're doing together to help bring awareness, or individually on our own. Some of us have committed our lives to working in service and have helped. Connie, the nonprofit that you run, and all the many years that you have under your belt for helping disabled vets, helping other people in need. So we have all of the key components right here, exactly. And it's just a matter of kind of putting those pieces of the puzzle together. And so, Kevin, I'm going to really rely on you.
Yeah,
and your.
I was getting ready to tell him too. We need you on board, Kevin. But
yeah, one thing I want to say, there is one thing I want to say about the vouchers that you speak of. The cap, you're right, is 65,000, but in order to first get one, you can't be making 65,000.
Oh, no, you have to be homeless.
Yeah, be homeless.
And homeless.
And
yeah,
you can have some income, but it's got to be like below.
Yes.
It's like
below 30% for some permanent supporting housing, 50% for for others. And so it's and I think that you and I can really put our heads together, and having both worked for Volunteers of America, and having both worked in veteran services, and having both worked in homeless services, that we don't have to look very far outside of our circle of veterans, and who we're all veterans, and we've all had similar experiences, and now we're continuing to build this circle of support. And Matt also having a wealth of knowledge of what the VA offers, what services are available.
It's an amazing team that God brought together, and we're going to make this happen, and starting out as a resource while we're waiting on that big castle in the sky to be completed, which is going to be completed soon. If it wasn't for this pandemic, we would have been further along, but this is wonderful, Martha. I'm so happy to have you on board, and we're going to put these pieces together and really make it happen. So, but right now, we're happy to say we'll have the resources and be able to house our veterans and be able to build that network. So when we do go after the funding for the housing program, we have it all under one roof. So it's
Absolutely.
exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank
Matt,
you.
what you think? Isn't that great?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No
Be
sound so it's enthusiastic, Matt.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
No, it is great.
Yeah,
Yes,
he has a strong
Appreciate it.
background in that too.
I'm just
Okay,
messing with you,
so
Matt.
we're coming on down, so we're going to turn it over to Brooke for our closing remarks and Taylor, and then I'm going to end it. And I'm thanking everybody on being here today, and it's exciting. This is just the beginning of something extremely huge.
Thanks, Connie. I'd like to remind our listeners about our amazing advertisement rates. We have 20 and 30-second advertisement slots available. Please email info@operationconfidence.org for more information and visit Operation Confidence's website at www.operationconfidence.org resource page for some amazing resources. That website again, info@operationconfidence.org. Also, check out our online store on our website. All items sold, such as our t-shirts and sportswear, 100% goes directly to Operation Confidence Housing Workforce Development Building Fund.
All right. Okay, and Taylor.
I would also like to inform our viewers and radio listeners about Amazon Smile. When making your next purchase on Amazon, please go to Amazon Smile and type in Operation Confidence and choose your organization donation box. Amazon will make a small donation to Operation Confidence.
Connie, we can hear you.
Well, I'm sorry.
Oh, now you got to mute yourself. No.
Everything was going at one time. The phone ringing and the signing off and everything. You guys know me by now. The public knows.
Well, come on now. You got to,
Did nothing. All right. So anyway, thank you so much. We're excited.
Were you guys able to see those t-shirts?
Close up, yeah. Wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to make sure, and we have more on that's coming on online soon too, and we're doing all of this good stuff for our veterans. So we need you to support what we're doing, and thank you so much for our guest, Richard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Two Richards. Thank you so much, and Richard, you'll be back next month with your segment, and Kev, you have another guest coming on next month with yours, and we're just going to do some exciting things. One other thing, we have the Rosie's going to be coming on soon with their major project going on called the Ringing of the Bells. We're going to be involved in that, and thanks to Brooke, we're going to have Brooke with our fundraiser.
Oh, we're going to have a virtual bingo fundraiser, and everyone can do bingo by Zoom from home.
Yeah, see? So that's going to be a lot of fun too. So she's going to introduce the process of what we have to go through next week, huh, Brooke? And
it's really, really easy, and it's a lot of fun. And if you haven't done bingo for a while, I admit I was one of them, but I did it recently. I had such a blast doing it by Zoom. So you don't want to miss it.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so thank you so much. We're signing off now, and we want to let all of our listeners and viewers know that, as always, we want to remind everyone that our goal for this show is to raise awareness about Operation Confidence mission, and that's to provide stable housing with a wide range of supportive services for our veterans, including employment opportunities. So to get involved with our grassroots efforts, please send us an email at info@operationconfidence.org. That's info@operationconfidence.org. And don't forget to visit our website, www.operationconfidence.org. And we're going to sign off now. I want to thank you again for listening and viewing our show today. And of course, we want to say a special God bless my dear heart friend and Matt's dear heart friend, Jerry, who's now up there in heaven looking over us. Say goodbye, everyone.
All right.
Goodbye.
Play the
Bye-bye.
PVA video real quick, 30 seconds. And to remind you that I'm going to be repelling on September the 4th. And, you know,
Yeah, post your link there on next week.
I will. So here's the video.
Long Beach, PVA, California, chapter USA. The city by the waterfront, where the veterans work and play. Long Beach, PVA, California, chapter USA. The city by the waterfront, where the veterans work and play.
All right.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
All right. We'll see you
Bye-bye.
next week. Stay
Next
safe.
week.
And oh, don't forget. There you go.
Okay.
For more information or to be a guest on our show, email info@operationconfidence.org.